Afghanistan. Afghanistan is present. Albania. Albania is present. Angola. Angola is present and voting. Armenia. Armenia is present and voting. Argentina, sorry. Argentina is present. Australia. Australia is present. Bahamas. Bahamas is present. Bahrain. Bahrain is present. Belgium. Belgium is present. Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is present. Bulgaria. Bulgaria is present. Cameroon. Cameroon is present. Canada. Canada is present. Chile. Chile is present. China. China is present and voting. Congo. 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 Congo is absent.
Croatia. Croatia is present. Czechia. Czechia is present. Democratic Republic of the Congo. Democratic Republic of the Congo is present. Denmark.
Denmark. Denmark is absent. Egypt. Egypt is present and voting. Eritrea. Eritrea is present and voting. Ethiopia. Ethiopia is present. Fiji. Fiji. Fiji is absent. Finland. Finland is present. France. France is present and voting. Germany.
Present.
Germany is present. India. India is present and voting. Indonesia. Indonesia is present. Italy. Italy is present. Japan. Okay, Japan is absent. Jordan. Jordan is absent. Kenya. Kenya is present and voting.
Latvia. Present.
Latvia is present. Lithuania. Lithuania is absent. Is Lithuania here? Okay, no. Lithuania is absent. Luxembourg. Luxembourg is present. Nigeria. Nigeria is present. Norway. Norway is present. Pakistan. Pakistan is present. Peru. Peru is present and voting. Poland. Poland is present. Portugal. Portugal is absent. Qatar. Qatar is absent. Republic of Korea. Republic of Korea is present and voting. Rwanda. Rwanda is present and voting. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is present. Slovakia. Slovakia is present. South Africa.
Present.
South Africa is present. South Sudan.
Present.
South Sudan is present. Spain. Spain is absent. Sudan. Sudan is present. Sweden. Sweden is present. Switzerland. Switzerland is present. Tunisia. So that China's an absent. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The delegate of Uganda. The delegate of Uganda.
One delegate is absent.
Oh. So, is Uganda present or present and voting?
Present.
Okay. Ukraine. Ukraine is absent. United Kingdom.
Present and voting.
United Kingdom is present and voting. United States of America.
Present and voting.
United States of America is present and voting. Venezuela.
Present.
Venezuela is present. So with 46 countries present in this session, the simple majority will be 24 and the 2/3 majority will be 31. Okay, the floor is now open. Those wishing to be placed on the general speakers list, please raise your placard high and firm. The delegate of Poland. The delegate of Italy. You have been, the chair will take that for now. So, delegate of Afghanistan, you may now have the floor.
Honorable Chair and delegates, this is the delegate of Afghanistan speaking. Our country's post-war issue in the South Sudan. For example, recruit many international volunteers to help South Sudan rebuild their homeland, so that South Sudan will not continue to be persecuted. Thank you.
Delegate, you have 30 seconds remaining. How would you like to use your remaining time?
Back to Chair. Delegate of Saudi Arabia, you may now have the floor. Honorable Chair and fellow delegates, this is delegate of Saudi Arabia speaking. The delegate of Saudi Arabia is in the same block with the U.S. We put emphasis on funding and experience of enduring gender inequality. Our short-term goal is to send the refugees away. For the long term, we want to break the sexual stereotypes through the education. Therefore, we're supposed to cooperate with the developed countries which are willing to receive refugees. Thank you.
The delegate, you still have 25 seconds remaining. How would you like to? Okay. Delegate, you may be seated. Please remember your placard. Next up, delegate of Sweden, you may now have the floor.
Honorable chairs and fellow delegates, this is a delegate of student speaking. This delegate is in the block with the United States, and after the delegates in our block working through tonight, we have a well-formed working paper. And the draft resolution will soon be created. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. You still have 30 seconds left. How would you like to? Okay. Delegate, you may be seated. Delegate Czechia, you may now have the floor.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates, this is Delegate of Czechia speaking. Nowadays, in spite of a limited civil war in South Sudan, innocent women and feral children there are still forced to experience the suffering about the tragic condition, such as sexual assault, starvement, and child marriage due to the complexity in the nation. For the purpose of settling the crisis from the frustrated position and moving forward to the future, Czechia considered amending the domestic law system, in some of which more preserving the rights of women and children was the preliminary things to attach in the short-term goal. Furthermore, according to the mentions from Tunisia's delegate, we are also rebutting the durability of refugees transporting to the resourceable countries. It's not possible to succeed due to it being full of imagination, but not realistic. Thanks for listening.
Delegate, you still have 20 seconds. How would you like to use your remaining? Okay. Before we continue on general speakers list, are there any other delegates wishing to be added to general speakers list? Please raise your placard. Delegate of Sudan, delegate of Egypt, delegate of China, and delegate of Indonesia, delegate of Eritrea, delegate of the United States of America. Chair will take that for now. The delegate of Poland, you may now have the floor.
Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates, this is the delegate of Poland speaking. The delegate of Poland is in the same block as the delegate of Italy, and she would like to call upon all delegates to do the best of themselves to maximize the ability of each country. On top of that, this delegate would also call upon humanity and fundamental human rights be taken as the first priority of any consideration. Thank you.
Okay, delegate, you still have 30 seconds left. How would you like to use the remaining time?
Back to the chair.
Okay. Delegate of Italy, you may now have the floor.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegates, and the most esteemed guests, this is the delegate of Italy speaking. Several countries, including France, Germany, Italy, Norway, Albania, and so on, have formed a bloc yesterday. And we believe that the situation in South Sudan can be classified into two stages, the long-term and short-term. In the short-term one, we would like to solve the current problems occurring in South Sudan. We believe that the stability of a turbulent country should be the fundamental concern before providing any kinds of supporting. After the country is stable enough, we would like to work on the long-term one, such as providing technical support to help rebuilding a society. Our blocs look forward to have further discussion with fellow nations, and we believe that we can come up with constructive solutions soon. Thank you.
Okay, delegates, you may be seated. Before we continue on our general speakers list, we have a quick announcement to make. that we have released the working paper in our Facebook group. So delegates, please make sure that you check our Facebook group soon. So next up, Delegate of Sudan, you may now have the floor.
Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates, this is the delegate of Sudan speaking. The delegate would like to thank for all the member states sparing no effort to finish the working paper. Also, the delegate would like to announce that the education and the balance of resources is really important in the African region. And also, the delegate serves as the signatures position for 2 draft resolutions, so the delegate hope to see more and more practical mean in the next sections. And also the delegate would like to remind that the South Sudan has already made a protest of democratic, so the delegate do not hopes to see the extreme means in the draft resolutions. Thank you.
Okay, delegate, you may be seated. The delegate of Egypt, yes?
Motion.
Yes, delegate.
Motion for a moderate caucus.
Motion for a moderated caucus. The delegate of
UK.
Delegate of UK has raised a motion for a moderate caucus on the topic of.
Let's each block to discuss their working paper.
That blocks discuss on their working paper for the total time of
20 minutes.
Total time of 20 minutes. Okay. Before we move on, are there any other motions on the floor? Seeing none, we will be voting on this online. Raised by the UK, topic of letting blocks discuss on their working paper for the total time of 20 minutes, and it's a procedural vote. Okay, delegates, so now if you refresh the platform, you may see our voting for our moderate caucus. So. Yes, delegate.
Delegate of Egypt believes that there's an error in the working paper document since there are 2 working papers now from China.
Could the delegate please approach the podium later during the moderated caucus? Okay. still have 8 countries that hasn't voted, so please speed up. Still have 3 countries that hasn't voted yet. With 44 yeses, 5 no, this motion clearly passes. So now we will be entering the unmoderated caucus for 20 minutes. So delegates, please be back at 10:14. Potential draft resolutions for the total time of 20 minutes, and it will be a procedural vote. Okay, now we get please refresh your website, and you will see.
One is more than another.
There are still 2 countries left that hasn't voted. Delegate, please be reminded that this is a procedural vote, so every country has to vote. If you have problems with disconnection of Wi-Fi, please send your decision to Dias team through notes.
Motion for a moderate caucus.
Motion for a moderate caucus. For on the topic of
discuss the possibility of transporting refugees.
For the discussion of
the
possibility of
transporting refugees.
Transporting
refugees. For the total time of
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Each speaker's time?
90 seconds.
90 seconds. Are there any other motions on the floor? Seeing none, we will be voting on the moderate caucus for the total on the topic of discussion of the possibility of transporting refugees, and this will be a procedural vote for the time of 15 minutes, and each speaker's time 90 seconds. Raised by the country of Tunisia. Okay, delegate, you may refresh your page and start voting. There are 3 countries left that hasn't voted yet. There's one more country. Delegate, if you have any problem that causes you to be unable to vote on the platform, please send a note and state whether you're yes or no for this motion. With 30 yes, 20 no, this motion passes. So now we'll be entering into the secondary speakers list. Does the delegate of Tunisia wish to be put on at the very first or the last of the speaker list?
The first.
The first, okay. Are there any delegates wishing to be placed on the secondary speakers list? Please raise your placard high. Delegate of Belgium, delegate of Peru, delegate of Sudan, delegate of Rwanda, delegate of Norway, the delegate of the United States of America and United Kingdom, the delegate of India, delegate of China. The chair will take these for now. Delegate of Tunisia, you may now have the floor.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegate, this is a delegate of Tunisia speaking. So first, this delegate would like to claim that why are we transporting refugees? So our problem is to solve the people that have been sexually abused or raped in South Sudan, and those people are mostly refugees. So by transporting refugees out of South Sudan, this delegate believes that it can solve this problem. Secondly, the possibility of transporting refugees out of South Sudan. In our bloc, there are countries such as Canada, USA, or other countries that are able to accept refugees, and they can cooperate with non-organizations in their countries, such as the Canadian Council for Refugees or Sunrise USA. So this is a successful plan. Also, by ensuring the refugees' safety, we will set up laws to make sure that they will have basic salaries or make sure that they have basic human rights, so they won't become refugees in other countries. Also, we will set up education to teach them the culture in the foreign country to make sure they won't have any things that are confused to that country. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. You may be seated, and remember your placard. Delegate of Belgium, you may now have the floor.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates, this is delegate of Belgium speaking. Belgium is agreeing with the previous speech of delegate of Czechia. Transporting refugees seems impossible due to the difference of religion, culture, and more. Please consider about the public security and the racial discrimination problem, which delegates can come up with the workable advices. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. The delegate of Peru, you may have the floor. Please remember your placard, delegate.
Honorable Judge and fellow delegates, this is a delegate of Peru speaking. So, this delegate would like to remind the delegate of China that activists and humanitarian organizations like UN Human Rights Council has just investigated on Chinese re-education camps because of the violation of human rights and of the Uyghurs and other Muslim Chinese. So are you sure that this plan would work in South Sudan, where ethnic tensions and conflicts have already caused so many problems? And also, transporting refugees is not impossible because because this bloc resolution is to implement education programs in those refugee-receiving countries and train them into skillful labors to contribute to the economy of these refugee-receiving countries. And we're planning to implement a series of education programs to avoid refugees from suffering from any kinds of discrimination and seclusions. Like we're planning to create strict laws and teach them the culture and taboos of those foreign countries they're going to. Thank you.
Delegate, you may be seated. Delegate of Sudan, you may have the floor.
Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates, this is the delegate of Sudan speaking. Thanks the delegate of Tunisia raised for this Imamari caucus, and the delegate definitely agree with the delegate of Belgian state. To transport the refugees to the other countries is still have a little bit of potential possibilities, but we need to, but all the member states should aware of some problems like the protests that the residents in the domestic country, since transporting the refugees should still a lot of opportunity of jobs. Also, the delegates of the Sudan would like to ask the delegate of Tunisia about the education, how to establish an education system, and also yeah, thank you.
Thank you, delegate. You may be seated. Delegate of Rwanda, you may have the floor.
Honorable chairs and co-chairs, distinguished delegates, this is the delegate of Rwanda speaking. Rwanda is in the same bloc with the USA. Though China has been helping and cooperating many aspects with Rwanda, for instance, economic border-free, basic traffic constructions, but for refugees, problems. The delegate of Rwanda did not see any of your assistance for the serious Rwanda genocide in 1994, just like the Hotel Rwanda conveyed. So the delegate of Rwanda would call into question China for would they really help the refugee problems or just all talk, no actions? Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate of Norway, you may have the floor.
Hello. Okay. Honorable Chair and fellow delegates, this is the delegate of Norway speaking. The delegate of Norway believes that it's too difficult to transport the refugees because the surrounding countries are near loaded or overloaded. And since South Sudan isn't adjacent to any oceans, it would take a lot of time to transport them to other countries in like Europe or other countries. And also, without a specific destination supporting measures, transporting them won't solve the problem effectively. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Next, delegate of the United States of America, you may have the floor.
Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates, this is the United States of America speaking. We will accept refugees from South Sudan. Our country will educate them to become laborers. They will be capable by educating. We will also create law system to ensure these workers' rights. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. You may be seated. Delegate of United Kingdom, you may have the floor.
Honorable Chair, distinguished delegates, is the delegates of United Kingdom speaking. The United Kingdom fully agreed the statement that the Norwegian delegate just made. However, the United Kingdom fully aware the importance of refugees issue, but should this committee just topic is the sexual violence and women empowerment. Yeah. So the UK's delegate believes that we should focus on the issue and let others committees to discuss the refugees issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of India, you may have the floor.
Honored Chair and all the delegates, this is India speaking. So India has supported of the opinions of Tunisia and the U.S. By standing with the U.S. bloc, India can support to send the experts or professional specialists to help teaching the refugee skills and knowledge that can help them to contribute of using labor to exchange the safety, because they need to work and extending in the foreign countries that they have moved over. And cooperating with the EU countries that can offer safe place to adopt these refugees from South Sudan, we would like to sponsor money to those countries that are engaging, such as building shelters. Calling on to other delegates, India emphasized other countries to giving support and help solving problems for South Sudan, not providing unrealistic or over idealistic programs to intervene them. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. You may be seated. Delegate of China, you may have the floor.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegate, this is the delegate of China speaking. A lot of Western countries believe that they knew China more than Chinese people knew China, but this is totally nonsense. China, you guys always think China violates human rights, but you guys don't consider that if the basic needs haven't been guaranteed, how are we gonna pursue the next layer? Have you guys ever learned Maslow hierarchy pyramid? Yes, and after we guarantee people's basic needs like security or water sanitation, food supply, then they can pursue the next layer of freedom. Thank you. And also for the refugee displacement, this delegate will recommend those rich countries to purchase some neighborhood countries for them to displace those refugees, since some of the countries they might consider like France, they're consider that their land isn't enough to carry that amount of refugee. Therefore, this delegate believes buying a neighborhood island is practical. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Delegate. You may be seated. Before we proceed on the secondary speakers list, are there any other delegates wishing to be put on the secondary speakers list? The chair will take two more. One more delegate. One more delegate. Delegate of Egypt. Okay, so delegate of Poland, you may now have the floor.
Honorable Chair, Sandy
Is that or just be given? This delegate would like to invite certain delegates to clarify the definition of refugee by reading some more data and information before raising any solutions or ideas. She also wants to emphasize that she's not saying all these things to be critical, but making the whole discussion more focused and efficient. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Last speaker, Egypt, you may now have the floor.
Honorable Chair and fellow delegates, this is a delegate of Egypt speaking. The delegate of Egypt is proud to state that he agrees with the statements made by delegates of Tunisia, USA, and India, and wants to rebuttal to delegates who question the feasibility of moving refugees. So first, the delegate of Egypt wants the whole community to compare the following scenarios. The first scenario is the refugees stay in the country, and they be raped by military groups and other men. So this does not solve the situation in South Sudan in any way. However, if we move to our scenario, which is move these refugees to our countries, although they may suffer a little bit of discrimination, however, under the protection of Unhrc and local charitable NGOs, they'll definitely have a better chance of obtaining more education and better environment. And furthermore, since our bloc has several rich countries with charitable NGOs, it's feasible that we could allocate the amount of refugees evenly to different charitable NGOs like Swiss Solidarity, the Canadian Council for Refugees, and much more, since we have a lot of rich countries with charitable NGOs in our bloc. So the delegate of Egypt is probably to state that the idea of moving refugees is definitely feasible. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. You may be seated. The time for this moderate caucus has elapsed. Before the House enters the general speakers list, are there any motions on the floor? Seen. Delegate of Tunisia?
To extend the moderate caucus.
The extension on the moderate caucus for the total time of
10 minutes.
That is not in order. We will now be entering the general speakers list. The delegate of Egypt, you have been recognized.
Honorable Chair and fellow delegates, this is the delegate of Egypt speaking. This delegate wants to state that although our bloc knows that different blocs are working on different working papers, however our bloc is willing to merge with other blocs if both our blocs have similar values on our working papers into a more complete draft resolution that will solve the problem in South Sudan currently more efficient. So, and hence, we're willing to merge with other blocs if we share the same values. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. You still have 20 seconds. Okay, that is in order. The chair would like the delegates to know that there is no extension for moderated caucuses. So that's why the chair's census was corrected. Okay. And before we continue on our general speakers list, are there any motions on the floor?
Motion.
Yes, Delegate of Poland.
Motion to open an unmoderated caucus
Motion for an unmoderated caucus.
for the purpose of discussion on potential draft resolution.
Discussion on potential draft resolution. Poland. for a total time of 20 minutes. Okay. Are there any other motions on the floor? Yes, Delegate of Tunisia.
Open a moderate caucus.
Open moderate caucus.
For the purpose of discussing the writing paper for the block of USA.
Discussion on the writing paper
From the block of USA.
from the block of USA. For the total time of
20 minutes.
20 minutes. Each speaker's time?
60 seconds.
50 seconds. Are there any other motions on the floor? See none. According to the order of importance, we will be voting on the moderate caucus raised by Delegate of Poland on topic of discussion on potential draft resolutions with a total time of 20 minutes, and this will be a procedural vote. So delegates, please enter the voting platform, and start voting. There are 2 more countries. How's that?
Education system. Education system.
The delegate of Venezuela, do you vote yes? Okay. With 26 yes and 25 no, and the simple majority is 26, so this motion passes. So we will now be entering a moderate caucus for 20 minutes. So delegates, please be back at 11:16.
And since some problem, so the deadline of the potential draft resolution is not 1 p.m. but 12, just before the noon. So you have to complete that before the session ends. Do you understand any question?
Due to the rearrangement of our schedule, so we will reschedule the deadline to 12. So delegate may use your the time of your Almaty caucus wisely to discuss on your potential draft resolutions and complete it before 12. Thank you, delegate.
Public didn't say that everything's
Okay, delegates, since according to the rules of procedure, we can only extend the caucus once, so we would highly encourage delegates to motion for the suspension of the meeting right now, so that you guys can be working on your draft resolutions until 12. Yes, delegate of France. Yes, delegate. Motion for the suspension of the meeting. Are there any other motions on the floor? Seeing none, we will be voting on this motion. Delegates, please refresh your voting system. You will see the suspension of the meeting and you can start voting.
The chair will now make some announcements. So before you submit the document, you have to keep in mind that the sponsor and the signatory and the preamble laboratory cannot be changed in the amendment. So if you want to change something in amendment in the next session, you have to keep in mind what is allowed, what is not.
vote yes or no for this motion? Okay. Okay. So with 42 yes, 9 no, this motion passes. So our conference will be suspended.
Okay, so basically, that means you have to work on this document because we have to submit it on time. However, if you want to discuss about that with lunch, you can help yourself. And you have to just remember to hand it on time, or we will not accept that. And remember to come back to the conference room also in time, which is 1:50.
Okay, delegates, the session has ended, so you may feel free to, you can feel free to.
12 o'clock. That's why we suspended the meetings for you guys to work on the DR.
So you won't have to keep raising.
Yeah, so you don't have to keep raising Unlearning questions. But the thing is, the lunch time starts at 12 o'clock, so you cannot leave the conference room unless you're going to the toilet before 12 o'clock. But you can walk around the conference room and discuss 12 o'clock and submit your potential DR before 12 o'clock. Is that okay? And also, if you need any help on formatting your DR, just call one of us.
Or approach the podium. Oh, approach the dais.
Bring your laptop to the dais team, and then we can help with the formatting. Good luck.
Norway.
Hi.
Can everything was down now? Oh, I didn't. I saw somebody and
May the sponsor of the of each document add the email, which is the HRC mail address, into the documents if you are using a Google Doc or something online, so that we can change your formats at times.
I think I'm not.
Afghanistan, Albania, Angola. Doesn't loading. So is that your partner? What's your name? Sandy. So your partner is not Argentina,
Argentina is present. Australia. The chair stands correctly. Armenia. Armenia is present. Australia. Australia is present. Bahamas. Bahamas is present. Bahrain. Bahrain is present. Belgium. Belgium is present and voting. Bulgaria. Bulgaria is present and voting. Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is present. Burkina Faso, are you single or double delegate? Double, so both of you are here? Okay, thank you. Cameroon. Cameroon is present. Canada. Canada is present. Chile. Chile is present. China. China is present and voting. Congo. Congo is present. Croatia. Croatia is present. Czechia. Czechia is present. Democratic Republic of Congo. Democratic Republic of Congo is present. Egypt. Egypt is present and voting. Eritrea. Eritrea is present and voting. Ethiopia. Ethiopia is present. Just a reminder that if your partner is not here, you have to tell us. Fiji. Fiji is present. Finland. Finland is present. Finland is your partner here. So your partner is absent, or that is the other delegation. So what is your name? Excuse me? Oh, Chinese. Good. Thank you, delegate. The delegate of France. France is present and voting. Germany. Germany is present and voting. India. India is present and voting. Indonesia. Indonesia is present. Italy. Italy is present. Japan. Japan is absent. Kenya. Kenya is present and voting. Latvia. Latvia is present. Lithuania. Lithuania is present. Luxembourg. Luxembourg is present. Nigeria. Then what is your name? Nigeria is present. Norway. Norway is present and voting. Both are. So your partner is absent? Your partner is here? Could please raise your hand? Thank you. Pakistan. Pakistan is present. Peru. Peru is present and voting. Poland. Poland is present. Portugal. Portugal is absent. Qatar. Qatar is absent. Republic of Korea. Republic of Korea is present and voting. Rwanda. Rwanda is present. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is present. Slovakia.
Present.
Slovakia is present. South Africa.
Present.
South Africa is present.
My partner is not here.
So what is your name?
English or Chinese?
Chinese.
卢嘉诚。my partner 吗
Your.
I'm 卢嘉诚。
Thank you, delegate. Life is not in order. Let's be serious, delegates. Spain. Spain is absent. Sudan. Sudan is present. Both of you. Okay, thank you, delegate. Sweden. Sweden is present. Switzerland. Switzerland is present and voting. Tunisia. Tunisia is absent. Excuse me, is Tunisia here? No. Thank you, delegate. South Sudan.
Present and voting.
Two of you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. South Sudan is present and voting. Uganda.
Present.
Present and voting.
Excuse me?
Present and voting.
Uganda is present and voting. Ukraine.
Absent.
Ukraine is absent. United Kingdom.
Present and voting.
United Kingdom is present and voting. United States of America.
Present and voting.
United States of America is present and voting. Venezuela. Venezuela is present. With 50 delegates present, the simple majority will be 25 and 2/3 majority will be 34. 1/5 majority will be 10. The session begins. So now we go back to general speaker list. Before the next speaker, are there any motion on the floor? Yes, the delegate of China.
对吧？非常 voting 就是不能填气球。对吧？
For modern caucus, for the purpose of discussion on amendments. And total time is 20 minutes. Can we shorten it into 15? Thank you, delegates. Are there any other motion on the floor? Seeing none, we will conduct the vote on the Almaty caucus, which is raised by the delegate of China for the purpose of discussion on amendments. Delegates, please remember this is procedural vote, so every delegate have to vote. And if you got Wi-Fi problem or digital problem, technical problem, you can send notes to tell us whether you vote for or against, yes or no on this motion. So delegates, you can vote on the system now.
说，因为我在这上面，可是为什么他出来的时候我没有在这上面？因为还蛮多人的，原本也在上面，可是不知道为什么，没有太多人。
There are still 3 delegations did not vote yet. So delegates, please hurry up.
另一个代表他就问这个东西。
I think so.
所以是谁代表？
我听不懂。
去。我也是去。
The motion do not pass. So we'll go back to the general speaker list. Are there any other country wish to be put on the general speaker list? Belgium. The delegate of China, you may now have the floor.
This delegate would like to draw the House attention to clause 1. You guys say that you wanna group in this book. This book stated that they're gonna deal with the discrimination throughout paying more attention. But this delegate believes this is a super urgent issue that like not only paying attention is the solution for this discrimination issue. You have to state it, the specific action that supports your details. And also, this delegate would also like to draw the House attention to clause 3. You guys, this book has stated that there.
Delegate, your time is up. Please turn back to your seat. Thank you, delegates. Before the next speaker, are there any motion on the floor? Yes, the delegate of. I cannot see you. Tunisia.
Motion to introduce DR 1.1.
Motion to introduce Presidential Draft Resolution 1.1. Be in order. So right now the dais team will read out the due to the time constraint, we will read out the operative clauses by the dais team.
Clause 1 urges South Sudanese government to pay more attention on issues such as but not limited to. Subclause A, the unfairness and discrimination against women within this legal system. Subclause B, the distorted values of citizens on gender equality within this patriarchal society. Subclause C, the serious violation of women's basic human rights. Clause 2 also urges countries that are willing to accept refugees to cooperate with humanitarian organizations for the purpose of, such as not limited to, subclass A, accepting and providing resources to refugees, so subclass I, moving refugees from South Sudan to countries that are willing to take in refugees. So subclass II, establishing education program to teach refugees basic skills that enable them to become future labor forces or of refugee receiving countries. Subclass III, creating strict laws to ensure that refugees are treated fairly while arriving in foreign countries. Subclass IV, educating the culture of foreign countries to refugees before they arrive to ensure their ability to assimilate into local community. Subclass V, sponsoring this money to those countries that are able to adopt the refugees in order, helping them to build shelters. Subclass B further invites organizations that are able to provide help, including organizations such as not limited to. Subclass I, the Canadian Council for Refugees. Subclass II, UNESCO. Subclass III, Swiss Solidarity. Subclass IB, Sunrise USA. Subclass B, Anglican Overseas Aid. Clause 3 invites countries that are well experienced in terms of dealing with gender inequality and are willing to make a change to cooperate with local governments and create solutions such as not limited to. Subclass A, share experience of their approaches that could help raise awareness of all South Sudanese such as not limited to. Subclass I, assures freedom of press in South Sudan. Subclass II, informs school-age children of this issue by giving lectures. Subclass III, launches public awareness campaigns. Subclass B, compare and contrast the reasons that gender inequality is an issue in different countries and states, which will result in the identification of the root problem. Clause 4 calls upon international non-governmental organizations to provide medical aids for victims of sex violence in South Sudan, such as not limited to. Supporting South Sudan with medical assistance, such as not limited to. Subclass A provides psychology therapy and psychology counseling. Subclass B creates emergency medical care. Subclass C cooperates with Medical Sans Frontières. Subclass D teaches rudimentary necessary medical knowledge. Clause 5 calls upon organizations that are able to provide medical help, such as not limited to. Subclass A, World Health Organizations. Subclass B, Pan American Health Organizations. Subclass C, the World Bank. Clause 6 calls upon countries that are able to provide financial supports to South Sudan by ways such as not limited to. Subclass A reorganizes education system, supporting of sending experts, specialists, or teachers to help teaching people skills and knowledge that can assist them to survive. Subclass B sends refugees to developed countries willing to accept refugees and provide them with job opportunities. Subclass C terminates food insecurity by implementing basic infrastructures that prevents permits. Subclass sounds corrected. Clause 7 requires the government of South Sudan to prevent kindling ethnic tensions and further violence by monitoring hate speeches and any political potential threats of peace. Subclass 8 further requires the United Nations to force South Sudan to alter its unfair patriarchal legal system and eliminate the unfairness within it by ways such as not limited to. Subclass A, generating international pressure on governments to improve their human rights records. Subclass B, expand international humanitarian and international criminal law, dealing with gas, rape, and other violations of international law. Subclass 9, considering the sexual and racist discrimination problem of restating human rights. Subclass A, influencing with the advanced culture from the developed countries. Subclass B, effect of high quality education containing more mature concepts.
The vote is on the system now, so every delegate can vote by the system now. That is introduction of draft resolution 1.1. And remember, this is procedural vote, so every delegate have to vote. If you vote yes, does not mean you actually agree with the context. That just means you think this document is worth on the House to discuss. point or?
Personal issue. Tunisia isn't president hasn't been added to the roll call list.
Have you ever sent note to us?
Yes, I did.
Well, the Dias team did not. Okay, the chair will deal with this problem right now. But you cannot vote this round since you came late. We have said this before. But thank you for your asking. With 46 yes, 4 no, this motion passes. And we're going to enter the Q&A part. Please, the sponsor stand to the podium. May the sponsor stand at the podium. Because of the concern of the time, we only open 2 questions here. Are there any questions on the floor? And this is only for grammatical and punctuation problem, not about the content. Seeing none, thank you, delegate. You can go back to your seat. And now we'll move back to the general speaker list. Before the next speaker, are there any motion or points on the floor? Yes, the delegate of China. Motion for the unmoderated caucus for the purpose of discussion on draft resolution 1.1. And the total time is 15. The chair would like to shorten it into 10 minutes. Thank you, delegate. Are there any other motion or points on the floor? Seeing none, we will vote on this unmoderate caucus, which is raised by the delegate of China for the purpose of discuss on the draft resolution 1.1. You can vote on the system now. And remember, this is procedural vote, so every delegate have to vote. Delegates, please speed up. If you have technical problem, you can send notes to the Dias team and state whether you're vote for yes or no. With 28 yes, 23 no, this motion passes. Please come back to your seat at 2:44. Before the next speaker, are there any motion on the floor? Yes, the delegate of China. The Dice team have not officially received any amendment, so this will be held later.
Hold on, please. The chair has received an amendment of China's blocks, but please be reminded that since we still have one potential DR that hasn't been introduced, we cannot officially discuss it. In other words, we cannot introduce any amendment that is regarding that potential DR, as in some way it does not exist on the floor right now. So the chair will encourage the sponsor of potential DR 1.2 to first introduce their potential DR in order for both documents to be discussed on the floor at the same time.
Are there any other motion or points on the floor? Seeing none.
And also the chair would like to remind delegates that if you are submitting an unfriendly amendment, you need to have at least 1/8 of the signature. That means that you need to collect the signature from at least 6 countries in order for you to submit an unfriendly amendment. And also when you submit your unfriendly amendment or any amendment, please at the same time state whether it is a friendly one or a friendly one in order for us to identify it. And
are there any country wish to be put on the general speaker list? Czechia, Sudan. The delegate of Indonesia, you may now have the floor. Yes? Slovakia wish to be put on the general speaker list. Well, if you want to be put on the general speaker list, please, next time, delegates, please raise your placard higher and quickly. So the delegate of Indonesia, you may now have the floor.
The delegates of Indonesia is in the same block with China. We agreed the policies that we can make South Sudan more peaceful by strengthening security. We can increase the amount of the security guards and police to keep the society safe. Besides, we have to compensate the innocent who are harmed, like the women who are exploited. We can recruit international volunteers for helping. They can comfort their emotions and help them to face the world again. The government can also help them to improve their living standards, such as providing necessities and education for free. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. You can go back to your seat before the next speaker. The chair would like to announce we have received a friendly amendment from the delegate of France, Germany, India, Tunisia, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Norway, and United States of America. May the co-chair swipe to the PowerPoint of friendly amendment page. We will read out the context.
Recall DR 1.1, add clause 10, urges member states supporting establishing a hybrid court and a completed law system to carry out transitional justice and prevent local military groups from attacking on another. Subclass A, recommending a hybrid court supported by the United Nations and African Union. Subclass B, expecting a completed and democratic law system to carry out accountability and transitional justice. Subclass C, strongly encouraging United Nations Security Council to send peacekeeping troops into South Sudan to stop each military groups from attacking each other.
We will move back to the general speaker list. Before the next speaker, are there any motion or points on the floor? Yes, the delegate of Tunisia.
Motion.
Motion.
Open a moderate caucus to
Motion
discuss
for
DR 1.1.
Motion for a
Moderate
caucus for the purpose of
discuss DR 1.1.
discuss draft resolution 1.1 for the total time is
15 minutes.
15 minutes. For each speaker's time is
90 seconds.
90 seconds. Are there any other motion on the floor? Seeing none. So remember, this is a procedural vote. That means every delegate have to vote. For the yes, for Tunisia. Delegates may go to the system to vote now.
代表他认可这是文凭，不一定要投。
There are still 5 delegates have not voted yet. Please hurry up. This motion with 42 yes, 6 no, this motion passes. Tunisia, the delegate would like to put at the beginning of the secondary speaker list or the last? The beginning. Are there any other country wish to be put on the secondary speaker list? Sudan. Egypt. The delegate of Tunisia, you may now have the floor.
Delegate of Tunisia speaking. Firstly,
hello. Honorable Chair and distinguished delegate, this is the delegate of Tunisia speaking. Firstly, this delegate would like to acknowledge the hard work that has been done by China Bloc. However, this delegate believed that our bloc had created the best draft resolution. Firstly, we had clauses such as improvement on South Sudan's government to solve the fundamental problem, and other medical help or long-term and short-term goals. Long-term goals including education and education on young generation and show awareness to public. And short-term goals include sending the victims of wars out of the country to make sure they won't be sexual abused or raped. That is not it, but this delegate would like to leave it to other countries in our bloc. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. Are there any other country wish to be put on the secondary speaker list? Seeing none, the delegate of Sudan, you may now have the floor.
Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates, this is the delegate of Sudan speaking. First of all, the delegate would like to thank for all the sponsors to pay a lot of effort into draft resolution 1.1. The delegate would like to draw the House's attention to draft resolutions 1.1 clause 4. Clause 4, yes. The delegate has to say that this clause totally helps the women that those are suffer from the sexual violence, and it provides a whole wonderful process to solve the issue. And also the delegate would like to draw the House's attention to draft resolutions 1.1 clause 5a. The delegate has a question, is that is every delegate in WHO agree with the operative clauses in clause 5? Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. Before the next speaker, are there any countries wish to be put on the secondary speaker list? Czechia, China, Latvia. The delegate of Sudan, you may now have the floor. The delegate of Egypt, you may now have the floor.
Honorable Chair and fellow delegates, this is the delegate of Egypt speaking. This delegate is proud to state that DR 1.1 is one of the strongest and most complete potential DR, since it covers every factor that's likely to solve the situation in South Sudan current with the most efficient rate, encompassing cooperating with local NGOs, inviting global organizations to provide both food and medical resources, and most importantly, this draft resolution put lots of emphasis on education. So not only did this potential DR solve the superficial issue, which is the civil war, this DR dig in depth on the root issues of gender inequality and tries to solve it with several operative causes that are feasible. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. The delegate of Czechia, you may now have the floor.
Honorable chairs and fellow delegates, this is the delegate of Czech Republic speaking. To support what the delegate of Tunisia has just said, in potential DR 1.2 has a lot of communistic policies. Compared with that, DR 1.1 is absolutely better and more detailed than potential DR 1.2. Thanks.
Thank you, delegates. Before the next speaker, are there any countries wish to be put on the secondary speaker list? Tunisia. Could you please turn it? India. Sudan. The delegate of China, you may now have the floor.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegates.
This is the delegate of China speaking. The delegate of China would like to remind the delegate of Egypt that evaluating whether your draft resolution is the best or not is not evaluated by the amount of the clause that you have written, but the effectiveness that your resolution brings to the Sudanese government. And also, the delegate of China would like the delegate of Zakia to state it why you just mentioned that the communism factor is bad. I want this delegate would like you to elaborate more on your speech, and thus the delegate of China would like to draw the House attention to clause 9. This clause is basically about the problem of restating human rights, but why bringing a mature concept to people is the problem of restating human rights. This delegate would like the block member in this block to explain more about it. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. The delegate of Latvia, you may now have the floor.
This is the delegate of Latvia speaking. And the delegate of Latvia would like to draw the House attention also to number 9 clause. And number 9 clause, subclause B, effect of high quality education containing more mature concept. The delegate of Latvia would like other delegates to clarify what more mature mean and what's included in the more mature concept. And how does high quality education lead to more mature concept? Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Before the next speaker, are there any country wish to be put on the secondary speaker list? Since the time facts, we will accept only this round. Czechia. Please turn. There is reflection. Kenya. Norway. Democratic Republic of Congo. The delegate of Tunisia, you may now have the floor. just a reminder, if you are the next speaker, you can stand aside to wait for the before speaker.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegate, this is the delegate of Tunisia speaking. To reply to delegate of China, I believe that the delegate of Egypt isn't saying that the more cost this block have means the better this have, and instead, if delegate of China believes that this block's draft resolution isn't the best or isn't efficient enough, then this delegate would like to suggest delegate of China to introduce ERR 1.2 so all delegates in this conference is able to discuss later. To respond to what the delegate of Latvia just said, how is high quality education leading connected to mature consent? So high quality education can make sure people in the South Sudan or other countries to have better mature mindsets, and so this can later lead on the mature concept that can make the countries better. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. The delegate of India, you may now have the floor.
Honorable Chair and all the delegates, this is India speaking. For answering the questions about the China and Latvia have a question. For the clause number 9, the mature and concept has restating the human rights is because that for the developed countries that like the UN blocks have mature and complete laws to protect women and prevent it from sexual discrimination. So they also can teach the refugees the equality of gender and the knowledge of avoiding sexual stereotypes. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, delegate. The delegate of Sudan, you may now have the floor.
Honorable chairs and distinguished delegates, this is the delegate of Sudan speaking. First of all, the delegate would like to draw the House's attention to clause 2, subclause A, II clause. The delegate has no idea why, and these clauses are related to the topic that we would like to solve in this conference. Also, the delegate would like to draw the House's attention to clause 2, subclause A, III clause. The delegate has no idea why it's strict laws and what is the context with strict laws is. And also, the delegate would like to draw the House's attention to V clause, the sponsoring money, who sponsor the money, and also if it's the country sponsor money. The delegate believes that the country that sponsors money doesn't have this duty to doing that. Also, the delegate would like to draw the House's attention to clause B, II clause. The delegate has no idea why the UNESCO could solve the issue, and also to fulfill the operative clause that's sub B clause 1. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. The delegate of Czechia, you may now have the floor.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates, this is the delegate of Czechia speaking. Reply to the delegate of China has just said, well, yes, maybe communist policies are not that worse. Yet in nowadays, communism obviously not the best way to solve the human rights issue. since you guys also have a lot of human rights crises in your own nations. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, delegates. The delegate of Kenya, you may now have the floor.
Honorable Chair, distinguished delegate, this is delegate of Kenya speaking. Regarding China's education strategy, Xinjiang Vocational Training Center 2.0 program, my country believes that it is a political calculation. The best way to deal with it is to evacuate refugees to the eastern neighboring countries of South Sudan, South Sudan, such as my country, Kenya, Uganda, South Africa, and conduct education in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. The delegate of Norway, you may now have the floor.
Honorable Chair and fellow delegates, this is the delegate of Norway speaking. The delegate of Norway strongly agrees that the DR 1.1 is the better resolution because of its large coverage of humanitarianism and concrete plans which can help this new emerging country effectively and efficiently without violating any human rights or push around any innocent citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. Democratic Republic of Congo, you may now have the floor.
Honorable Chair, fellow delegate, and the most esteemed guest. This is the delegate of DRC speaking, and this delegate would like to draw the House attention to cost due. They are not now assuming that a country will take in refugees. If there is no country take in refugees, what will they do? And also, subclass 8 specified to provide resources, then where will the money come from? And how will Sudan government encourage country to take their refugees? Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. We will turn back to the general speaker list. Before the next speaker, are there any motion or points on the floor?
Okay, so
yes, the delegate of China.
Amendment. Okay.
On friendly amendment or on friendly amendment?
The chair has not received an unfriendly amendment. Instead, the chair has received the emails with the subject unfriendly amendment from China blog. However, the document that is attached to the email is a working paper. Delegates, please be serious. And also, the chair would like to remind delegates that for now, there's only one official DR on the floor. That means that if the other potential DR is not introduced before the closure debate, we will only be voting on one DR. And there is possibility that no DR will be passed, which is not a problem, but it is up to you to decide how you wish this committee to end. So the chair just wish to remind delegates that if you wish to introduce your potential DR that you have put your efforts on, remember to motion for the introduction of a potential DR. Thank you.
And the closure of debate is open now due to the time constraint. Before the next speaker, are there any motion or points on the floor? See none. Are there any country wish to be put on the general speaker list? Tunisia, Egypt, Uganda. The delegate of Eritrea, you may not have the floor.
Honorable Chair and distinguished guests. Honorable Chair and distinguished guests. This is the delegates of Eritrea speaking. We Eritrea's government stand with the bloc of the United States. We truly believe that education victim from civil war in South Sudan is the most permanent solution. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. With 37 seconds remain, how would you like to use your remaining time? Thank you, delegate. The delegate of United States of America, you may now have the floor. United States of America. Delegates, please come to the podium.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates, this is United States of America delegate speaking. For international society, common goal is to prevent any other controversy happen. However, in China's draft resolution, we are going to send military force to South Sudan. We can't guarantee this behavior won't lead to conflict, because the borderline problem often based on two countries' interest in telegram and will be probably cause conflict happen. Therefore, if the United Nations pass China's draft resolution, the basic human right will no longer exist, not to mention protecting women's rights or wiping out sexual violence in South Sudan. Moreover, China wants to increase the economic development in South Sudan. It will definitely deepen the gap between rich and poor, and the poor women's rights will be deprived. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. The delegate of Belgium, you may now have the floor.
Honorable Chair and distinguished delegates, this is delegate of Belgium speaking. First of all, Belgium doesn't care or has no interest in how great China is. And by the way, Xinjiang vocational training camp is seriously violating the basic humanitarian of freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. With 42 seconds remaining, how would you like to use your remaining time?
Yeah, to China.
The delegate of China, do you accept the yielding? You may now have the floor.
Delegate of China speaking. The delegate of China would like to ask the delegate of Belgium, why is violating or not violating human rights is defined by your Western country, but not defined by ourselves? We believe that we're guaranteeing people's living rights, such as food sanitation or security related things, prioritized. It should be prioritized before we guaranteeing other rights. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. Before the next speaker, the chair would like to remind that if you want to send a friendly amendment, you have to send both email with Word document and also the note with all the sponsors signing. However, we haven't received any email yet. And if you would like to send unfriendly amendments, please make sure your format is right. If it is wrong, we will not receive it either. And so far, we haven't received any proper amendment so far. Before the next speaker, are there any motion or points on the floor? Yes, the delegate of Latvia. Motion to introduce potential draft resolution 1.2. Due to the time constraint, the chair will read out the context of operative clauses.
Okay, please refer to Potential DR 1.2. Clause 1 strongly requests the South Sudanese government to ensure human rights by maintaining the security and fostering technical skills through education in the way of establishing Xinjiang Vocational Training Center 2.0 program in South Sudan for the purpose such as not limited to. Clause A, conducting eradication of extremist thoughts in order to prevent protests and unrest from happening, carried out by the way such as not limited to. Subclause I, recognizing the initiatives and extremists that were possible to organize the unrest. Subclause II, deeply introspect with their emerged unhealthy thoughts, they make society chaotic. Subclause III, rectifying the biased thoughts by teaching them being disciplined and obey with the law. Subclass IV, educating the importance of maintaining the social order. Subclass B, enhancing the patriotism and centripetal force to further ensure the peacefulness of the country in a way such as not limited to. Subclass I, emphasize the importance of cultural identities approval. Subclass II, enforcing students to sing South Sudanese national anthem on daily basis. Subclass III, forcing students to thank to a leader of South Sudanese before having their meals. Subclass C, cultivating tomorrow's employees by providing different choices of training course such as not limited to. Subclass I, agricultural course based on teaching them to utilize perfectly on its terrain advantages and that dominated by tropical rainforests, grasslands, and swamps. Subclass II, art courses such as painting, music, and dancing. Subclass III, engineering course. Clause 2, strengthening the security in South Sudan in a way such. Subclass A, dispatching international security armies to protect the borderline in South Sudan by Subclass I, sending military forces from voluntary nations. Subclass II, stationing garrisons in fixed positions on the borderline. Subclass corrective. Subclass B, providing better training and supplies to the South Sudanese military forces through Subclass I, training soldiers in South Sudan by other military stronger nations, aiming to enhance the quality of the soldiers. Subclass II, supplying better weapons and ration to the army. Corrective. Subclass B, enhancing the quality of the local police system. Subclass I, building an institutional police capacity to improve the police efficiency. Subclass II, opening lectures and classes for those policies who graduated from old police school to make sure that all the local police's policies have a consistent goal. Corrected. Clause 3, further resolve gender inequalities problems and recognized by the United Nations, UN, and in the way such as but not limited to. Subclass A, establishing a law that requires strengthening the penalty. Subclass B, raise the awareness of the issue that are caused by gender inequalities and carry out by the methods such as not limited to. Subclass I, widespread the conceptions gender equality by the platforms such as not limited to social media, new. Subclass II, hosting forum or lectures for the purpose of advocating gender inequalities, which offers victims rights to speak up for themselves. Subclass C, conducting the compensations action to those people who are suffered or suppressed by the gender inequalities carried out in a way such as not limited to. Subclass I, suggest South Sudan's government arrange funds for the compensations. Subclass II, recommending South Sudanese government to cooperate with NGOs or charity companies that advocate gender equality, provide furthermore funds for the compensation program. Clause 4, strongly recommends South Sudanese government to recruit voluntary workers internationally and locally to assist the country on recover and rebuild the infrastructures and facilities that have been devastated through civil war in the work such as not limited to. Subclass A, cleaning water resources for useful water supplies through. Subclass I, excavation of water purifying system in local water resources such as reservoirs and rivers. Subclass B, cleaning sewer system in South Sudan to avoid diseases from widespreading by subclass I, cooperating upon different nations to send sewermen to firmly sanitize the sewer system, improving the medical system. Subclass II, increasing the economic development. Subclass III, provide alcohol for cleaning. Subclass B, improving local transportation system to help better transporting people and supplies. Subclass I, building a more thought-out railway system. Subclass II, repairing the destruction caused by the civil war. Subclass D, planning a sustainable energy generating system, with subclass I, implementing renewable energy power station. Subclass II, educating the citizens the concept of saving energy and how wasting energy is disturbing the society. Subclass Chair corrected. Subclass E, improving the economic system through subclass I, setting up a better agricultural development since it is the main source of livelihood and it is necessary to increase irrigation facilities. Clause 5 strongly urges the self-student government to pay attention to the crisis brought about by climate issues, such as subclass A, the major cause of sexual exploitation. Not only the Civil War climate crisis is also seriously affected, hindered women who use daily necessities and even suffered from being sold at home in exchange for supplies and money. Subclass B, the IUCN pointed out many cases about the direct impact of lack of resources on women, such as fishermen who do not sell fish to women and do not have sex with them.
Are there any questions? Only punctuation and the grammatic question could be arise now. Yes, the delegate of.
Asking the definition of certain words if it's allowed.
Yes, allowed. So,
Honorable Chair and fellow delegates, this is the delegate of EJ speaking. The delegate of EJ wants to draw the force attention on DR 1.2 operator clause number 5 and subclause A. Operator clause number 5. The delegate wants to ask China and its member states to clarify the definition of climate, since we are talking about sexual violence against women and nothing about weather or climate change. So this I want to ask for a clarification of the word climate. Thank you.
sponsor of which country would like to answer the question? Please do not pat the microphone.
The reason why China believes that the climate crisis affect women is because insufficient resources will cause women dealing with daily life to be unable to cope with them, forcing them to have improper trade relations with sellers. However, programs that protect and improve the environment or respond to the climate crisis rarely deal with the problem. Thank you.
Due to the time constraint, only one more question is open. Are there any delegates wish to ask? Please remember there is only grammatic and punctuation question could be asked. Yes, the delegate of Czechia.
Honorable chairs and fellow delegates, this is the delegate of Czechia speaking. Prior to the delegates of China just said, the delegates of Czechia didn't get what you really said because there is no connect with human rights and climate change. Thanks.
The question is not in order since it is not allowed under the limitation of this section. So the delegate of China the sponsors do not have to ask this question to answer this question. So now we're going to vote on this motion to introduce Potential Draft Resolution 1.2. Is the system ready? Due to the time constraint, after the voting, the chair would like to encourage delegations to motion for closure of debate.
第二了吗？已经到第二。
Are there any? Oh no, it's not closure of debate, but the introduction on draft resolution. Yes. And vote type is procedural voting for the purpose of 1.2. Delegates, you may vote on the system now.
就是我们可以去讲它里面。哦，从第一个到第二，就是可以从里面去对任何一个地区。
Okay, this is procedural vote, so every country has to vote.
是吗？
There are still 2 delegates haven't voted yet. If you got technical problem, you can send notes to us. The delegate of Nigeria, whether you vote yes or no on this motion. Nigeria? Yes or no? With 35 yes, 17 no, this motion passes. The potential draft resolution 1.2 officially become the potential draft resolution, the draft resolution 1.2. Before the next speaker, are there any motion or points on the floor? Yes, the delegate of Tunisia.
Open an unmoderated caucus.
Motion for a unmoderated caucus for the purpose of
Discuss unfriendly amendment.
Discuss
Unfriendly amendment that will be made.
Discuss unfriendly amendment. For the total time is
10 minutes.
The chair would like to shorten it into 5 because we actually should have end the session among 3:30 to 4.
Yes, 5 is okay.
5 minutes. Are there any other motion on the floor? Yes, the delegate of Lithuania.
Motion for a moderated caucus.
Motion for a moderated caucus for the purpose of
Discuss a potential draft resolution 1.2.
discussion on draft resolution 1.2. Total time is
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Each speaker's time will be
60 seconds.
60 seconds. So now we're going to vote on the motion to unmoderated caucus, which is raised by the delegate of Tunisia. For the total time, it's 5 minutes for the purpose of discuss on the unfriendly amendment. Just a reminder that this is procedural vote, so every delegate has to vote. The delegates, you may now go to the system to vote now. There are still 2 countries haven't voted yet. Chile, would you like to vote yes or no for this motion? Chile? The delegate of Chile, please. The delegate of Chile? Where is the delegate of Chile? Would you vote yes or no? With 38 yes and 13, no, not yet. France. The delegate of France, are you here? Yeah. Would you like to vote yes or no? Yes. Thank you, delegates. With 39 yes, 13 no, this motion passes. Delegates, please come back at 3:41. And delegates, we have to end this session before 4 o'clock. So if you have any, if you would like to motion for a closure of debate, that is allowed. Yes, the delegate of Germany.
Motion for closure of debate.
Motion for closure of debate. Are there any other motion on the floor? Yes, the delegate of China. Moderated caucus? Moderated caucus for the purpose of? For the total time is 10 minutes, and each speaker's time will be 90 seconds. The chair would like to shorten your time into 5 minutes. Is that okay? According to the precedence of the motion, are there any other motion on the floor? If not, we are going to vote on the motion to close of debate first, because it's more influential for the other session. So now we will vote on this. Are there any against? Against one China? Are there any other against? Seeing none. Technical. Then the delegate of China, you may now have the floor to explain why you think this motion should not pass, or why do you against this motion?
Delegate of China speaking. The delegate of China believes there's a lot of question from other bloc toward our draft resolution haven't been answered yet. Therefore, the delegate would like the floor to move on to discuss about our draft resolution 1.2.
Thank you, delegates. So,
Would you like to briefly explain the rules of procedure that we are experiencing right now? So the closure of debate generally means that we are going to close the floor. That means that no debate will be allowed after closure of debate, and then we'll be moving into the voting procedure. However, when anyone is motioning for a closure debate, the chair will be asking are there any against, because we wish to guarantee other delegates' right of still wishing to debate. If you are against the closure debate, which means that you still wish the floor to continue and still wish to continue this discussion, you have to come up and give a speech about why you believe that we should keep the floor open and why we should continue our discussion. However, if there's no against, means that the whole committee believes that we should enter the voting procedure, the chair will open for two technical against, which means that technically I am against it, but I'm not really against this closure debate. So now, after China has given her speech on why she believes that we should continue discussing, we will move into the voting procedure of this closure debate. So now we're voting on whether or not you think that we should continue debating or not. So can the typing chair create voting?
I have created.
Okay.
So you can go to the system and you will see the voting of closure of debate.
If you believe that the delegate of China has persuaded you that we should continue discussing, then in this case you might want to vote for no. However, if you believe that all discussion is over and you wish to move to voting procedure of our two DRs, then maybe you should vote for yes. So this is how closure debate works, and I hope this helps. And also we require a 2/3 majority for the closure debate to pass. And this is also mandatory for everyone to vote, so please vote as soon as possible.
The delegate of Croatia. Is the delegate of Croatia here? Would you like to vote yes or no in this voting? Yes? Okay. This motion passes. We'll now move to the closure of debate. Staff, please make sure that nobody can go into this room and nobody can go out of this room. So are there any motion on the floor? Yes, the delegate of China.
Motion for the moderated caucus.
No, that is not in order.
So now we have closed the debate, which means that we have closed all of our speakers list, including general speakers list and secondary speakers list. And there's no other motions that you generally know that will be allowed. The only 4 motions that we will be accepting right now is the motion to roll call vote, the motion to reordering the DR, the motion to voting by acclamation, and the motion to, where is one word? Division of the House, which will not be accepted since we're not in Security Council right now. So these are generally the 3 motions that we'll be accepting right now. Is that clear?
Are there any other motion on the floor? Yes, the delegate of China. Are there any other motion on the floor? Yes, the delegate of France.
Motion to vote by acclamation.
Are there any other motion on the floor? Then we are going to vote the motion by acclamation first. So first we're going to vote on the potential, the draft resolution 1.1. Are there any objection? Okay. Is there anybody? Okay. The chair stands correction. Vote by acclamation means that 共识决. So if there is no objection, then the document will pass. Acclamation, right? Yes? So first we will vote on the potential. The chair stand correct. We will vote on the draft resolution 1.1. Are there any objection on this document? Yes, delegate of China, and we will vote on the DR 1.2. Are there any objections? The delegate of Tunisia. So we will vote. We will move on to the motion, which is raised by the delegate of China. That is, reorder the document. So to what sequence you would like to reorder?
Since the delegate of China believes their resolution is way more practical than the other one, therefore people think it should be placed before the other one has been voted.
So you, the sequence is 1.2 and then 1.1. I'm going to explain what is reorder now. That means, can I switch into Chinese? Do you need that? Give me a nod or shake. Okay, you want it in Chinese or in English? Chinese. OK， 好，就是呢，现在 reorder 的意思是重新排顺序，因为在联合国里面就是。只要有一个文件过了以后，剩下的文件就再也不会做讨论了。也就是说，如果你们等一下1.2过了的话，或者是1.1过的话，另外一个就完完全全不会进入投票程序。然后 ，Steph， 请帮我确定不会再有人在会议场里面走动，因为这里是closure of debate。好，然后所以说我刚刚问的是说有没有就是你们想要怎么请问场上有没有任何的组合？就是例如说像刚刚 China 提出的是1.2，然后再投1.1，然后原版话是1.1，然后再1.2。reorder 你还要解释？就这样。所以说，就是现在投的是，就是刚刚就是另外一个副主席刚刚有解释的 procedure 是说，我们在这边我们只有一些某些特定的 motion 可以提出，对，所以说刚刚有提出的是公示决跟以及刚刚提出的是就是重新排列顺序。那我们接下来就要投票这个排列顺序的部分。 那还有任何有没有？现在有没有问题要先提出的？Reorder 是你刚刚提出的。
Delegates, please be serious. So, just as PBS just mentioned, this is reordering the DR right now. So now we'll be voting on whether or not we wish to change the sequence into 1.2 first and then 1.1. In this case, if you support voting 1.2 first, you should vote for yes. In the other side, if you wish to vote in the original sequence, which is 1.1 first and then 1.2, and then you should vote for no. Is that clear right now? Perfect. Thank you.
So the poll is so delegates, you can go to the voting system to find the votes, which is reordering of draft resolutions. If you saw two voting on the system, please vote the one with shorter sentence. And if you have done yet, please check the page again. Since this is procedural vote, so every delegate have to vote. Albania? Albania, where is Albania here? Would you state yes or no in this motion? No. Thank you, delegates. Egypt? Would you like to state yes or no in this voting? Thank you. Sweden? Sweden. Is Sweden here? Yes. Would you like to stand yes or no in this voting? No. This, with 13 yes, 39 no, this motion did not pass. Are there any other motion on the floor? Seeing none. Could the co-chair create the voting for document? So first we will vote on the draft resolution 1.1. And this, so just a reminder, if you state present in this section, that means you can vote for yes or no or abstain in this voting. If you state present and voting in this in this session, you have to vote yes or no. You cannot abstain in this voting. And this is a substantive vote. That means you do not have to You can vote for abstain, and that is what you mean is not procedural needs. Okay, you can go to the system and vote it now. Remind again, you can vote yes or no or abstain, however you still have to vote. This document passes with 38 yes, 7 no, and 6 abstain. This draft resolution 1.1 passes. Clap as an order. Now we will open to the motion to adjournment of the meeting. Are there any motion on the floor? Yes, the delegate of France. Motion for adjournment of the meeting. Are there any other motion on the floor? Seeing none, we will vote on this motion. And just for information, this is procedural vote, so every country have to vote, and you cannot abstain this round. Delegates, you can go to the system to vote for the motion. Since this is procedural vote, so every delegate has to vote. We still have 5 countries haven't voted yet. Chile. Would you like to vote yes or no in this voting? please remember to use your voting system. PG, are you still working on the voting system? Are you vote yes or no? Yes. Nigeria, would you like to vote yes or no in this voting? Yes? Switzerland, would you like to vote yes or no? Is that okay? Let's vote with 50 yes, 2 no, this motion passes. Clap as an order.
桌上的 placard 跟小旗子都是可以带走的，是你的礼物。然后旗子，请你跟你们的，如果你是双带的话，请你们决定想要带走，就是不要留在这里。然后看你们的四周有没有垃圾跟你们个人物品，一定要带走。还有外面桌子上的垃圾，垃圾直接丢到厕所的垃圾桶就可以了。谢谢。等一下。
代表那个大家，喂，代表这边听一下几件事情。等一下的 closing ceremony 跟昨天的晚宴是同一个场地，所以一样的模式会由我们带你们过去，请不要再自行离开或者是自行脱队。这次麻烦大家一定还是要跟着走。那请大家再听一下这边，就是因为这次的会议比较特殊的关系，就是有一些行程上的安排，就是必须要配合一些某些规定，所以我们不会在 closing ceremony 的时候颁奖，我们会现在颁奖，请大家坐下。那这边要提醒几件事情，就是奖状的部分会在就是之后会直接寄到你家，所以你今天晚上拿到的奖状也是就是你就会有一个空白的，然后会有一个比较形式性的跟卢市长合照，然后拿奖，然后拍照，对，然后之后奖状会寄到你家，请不用担心你的奖状会不见。然后在晚上的颁奖之前，我们等一下就会公布得奖名单，然后晚上的时候请听从工作人员的指示，因为要排队上台领奖，然后整体的规划是相当需要配合的，所以如果你有得奖的话，麻烦请务必听从工作人员的指示，依照指示上台领奖。好，那在进入颁奖之前，我希望大家先用热烈的掌声，谢谢这几天辛苦的工作人员以及我们的主席，谢主席，谢谢大家辛苦了。那包括就第一天就跟着你们的摄影师，然后工作人员等等的，然后还要带你们去各个地方，那就是谢谢他们的辛劳，他们还要被上层骂，然后还要处理很多杂事，真的很辛苦。好，那希望这几天你们就是都还蛮开心的。虽然我原本想要叫 observer 上来讲讲话，但是他们好像下午就已经走了，所以有点忘记这件事情。那希望你们这几天就是收获蛮多的，然后不论交到朋友，还是你们学习到新的东西，或者是你发现你的阅读能力、找资料能力大幅会提升等等的。 任何形式的进步都希望是你们这次会议的收获。那所有的你们刚刚工作人员有讲过的东西都可以带走。那你们等一下会留一点点的，我们会提早过去现场。那在现场你们可以继续拍照啊，或者是交换联络方式等等。那希望大家玩得愉快。那现在呢，再讲一下哈，就是我觉得你们其实都蛮认真，因为其实整个会议只有2天，算是非常非常少。尤其是这2天前前后后，还有花了很多时间在各种的演讲啊，或者是有比较多安排。那议程也都说得蛮短的。好，然后但是像你们昨天社交晚宴的时候，我看到你们甚至有一群人就是先回去写文件了，等等，或者现场其实在讨论文件，就想说天哪，这个委员会真的是非常的认真在撰写这些东西。对，那如果还有任何的问题，不论是表现还是你希望你要接下来玩模联就是玩什么，或者是你有任何问题想要请教，都可以再找就是委员会的大家。什么眼神？好，就是还是可以问问题啦，对，就是还是可以问大家，就是任何的关于模联啊，或者不关模联的，尽量不要问，就是有关模联的问题都可以问。然后所有的寄给你们的东西，希望你们都可以花时间好好的想想看，跟看看。那等一下走的时候东西记得要带走。那现在我们要来讲，我们要来唱名我们的得奖的国家。好，首先第一个是Best Position Paper， 大家要玩桌子吗？就是 The best position paper goes to the delegation of Latvia and Kenya。可以站起来。大家可以问问看 Latvia， 就是他们的，不用往前，我们这边没有奖状，你们站起来就好，让大家认识你们。对，就是我们在看，大家其实教的就大家其实都蛮认真的，就是不论是撰写的内容或者是你们的格式等等，其实看得出来，就大家应该也花了一点时间在写。但是 Latvia 他们真的是把它当就是极短篇的小论文在写的那种概念，其实就是他们真的蛮厉害的，大家可以问问看他们怎么写的。对，然后概念性的东西也都提出了蛮多。对，那 Kenya 的部分也是写了蛮多就是重要的点，然后包括整个议题的核心问题等等的，这都有就是大致的点出，那也符合他们的国家立场。好，那就等一下上那个等一下颁奖的时候，就到时候要记得是听到，就是依照指示就对了。对，好，谢谢你们。好，那接下来呢要讲的是Best Diplomacy， 就是翻成中文叫做最佳外交，但就是它其实取决于很多的因素哦。讲一下各个讲的我们考量的因素好了。那 diplomacy 的话，其实包括说你要如何跟人家去 negotiate， 你要如何在一群人当中去组织很多的东西，然后还有等等的你的贡献程度，你要怎么跟着大家一起去合作这个东西。所以说，它这个东西其实看着其实是关乎你的就是外交手腕。对，那 the award goes to Germany。好，就是恭喜你，那等下记得上台。对，好，跟卢秀燕市长合照。对，好，那再来我的下一个是 the outstanding delegate。The award goes to the delegation of Egypt. 好，谢谢。那就是这个奖的话呢，就是其实还蛮，就是其实就你们可以坐一下，就是它就是综合你，包括你的文件，就是包括你的文件，整的来说，你所有的讲话，其实我们会看，包括你的文件。那你的文件有没有准时缴交？你的文件有没有抄袭？然后你的平常你在整个会议场上的，例如说你上台的发言，或者是你在讨论的东西，然后尤其是我们其实很看重的是大家在写东西的内容，这个东西不是写的多就是好，重点是要写的有质量，所以大家就是可以参考一下，在一场开会的时候我们会考量哪些的要素，然后来去决定这个奖。最后一个我们要 要表扬的是 the best delegate. The award goes to Tunisia. 就跟刚刚的差不多，只是大家会在评分的时候会稍微有点就是会有点差异。对，好，那在晚上就是闭幕晚宴的时候，请务必记得要就按照工作人员的指示去领奖。对，好，那如果没有得奖的话也没有关系。你们会想要现在知道 oral recognition 有哪些人吗？还是你们想要晚宴的时候再听？对，作为你们，因为到时候我们不能够一个一个颁奖，我们只能 oral recognition some delegations。然后如果这是一个你去参加的一个 eager 的话，请务必要保留这个惊喜到最后。那给我一个 nod 或 shake 好吗？为什么？oral recognition 是就是你没有奖状，但是我会就是口头上的就是表扬说这个国家表现的怎么样不错啊或什么的。对。Keep it. Any other voices?
No.
OK. 剩下的就沉默螺旋掉了。好，那就晚上再讲吧。好。那大概这样，所以大家请务必要记得晚上要去。如果你没去的话，我 oral recognition 到你不在，那也是蛮尴尬的。对，所以请大家拜托晚上一定要去，不然我很尴尬。然后大家请务必记得，如果你晚上没有去的话，你就没有 certification， 就是你就没有就整个活动的证书。那如果出席有任何疑虑，就是说你迟到，你想要确认你到底有没有到的话，等下也可以来找我们就确认一下，因为台中市政府的要求蛮严格的，就是说如果你有任何一个 session 或 social event， 或者是就是一些时间报道的时候没有报道到的话，你就不会有那张证书。我不知道你们现在课纲改得怎么样，但好像那张证书对你们来说蛮重要的，应该的。台中市政府给我们感觉是这样子。对，好，所以说这个东西要请大家务必确认。那大概就这样子，大家可以开始收拾东西，然后我们会在4点20分的时候在外面集合。集合不是跑掉，就是昨天有一群11个人就先跑掉的那群人，我就在讲你们。集合不是跑掉，就在外面，然后等我们带你们一起下去。还要记得大家把垃圾带走。
没有，你不是这样说我们的。
没有，就是说我们的。
没有，他说我们没有，你这边待很久。
没有，是那时候我们就是错过站，然后搭回来，然后我们先跑掉。那是我们。
我也是。
你没有。
你要的。
带走。